Manipur is once again slipping deeper into a sort of a frozen unrest. Protests, shutdowns, abductions, counter-abductions, people not letting people go despite immense effort made by the government, church leaders coming in. But sort of this frozenness of the conflict continues. The protests are basically taking place on the rim of the valley and the hill. And both Naga and Kuki groups, they have taken very hard positions. They're out on the streets demanding safe release of their people. Naga organization claims 6 men abducted on May 13 by the Kuki-Zo armed groups are still missing. On the other hand, Kuki-Zo groups allege that 12 of their people, including 3 students, remain in the Naga custody. That is the long and short of it. Security forces have intensified search operations in Kangpokpi, but there is no breakthrough. And this tension started after the killing of the church leaders. And despite immense effort being made by the government, there is no movement. And what is also happening is these protests, counter-protests, I'll be playing out certain visuals which have come out at night, whereby, security forces are also not being allowed to do the job. These are all the night visuals which have come, the blocking has happened of the highways. So there is a problem of the essential commodity. I'll not waste time because, there are a lot of panelists here with me today. Brijesh Pandey, input editor of News 9, PK Mishra, former ADG BSF, Group Captain B. Nandakumar Sharma, retired, Colonel Shanti Kumar Sapam, spokesperson Maiti Heritage Society, and Hasina Karbi, founder Impulse NGO Network. Hasina, very warm welcome to you. Good to see you after such a long time. Okay, let me straight away go to...
Thank you.
No, it's always a pleasure to have you, Hasina, on my show. Let me straight away go to Brijesh. Brijesh, there is no breakthrough. I was speaking to my sources, and these are the visuals which have directly come from the people involved in the law enforcement, and these are the people who are blocking the way, and it's making very tough for the security forces to do the job.
Well, I think what is happening, Karthikeya, is that it reminds me of the start of the Kuki Meitei war, with the fight between the two communities, where situation started suddenly spiraling out of control, and all of a sudden we were, the entire state was dragged into an internecine conflict for almost 3 years. Now situation is balanced a bit between the two ethnicity, but with entry of Naga into this conflict, I think it's going back to the same old pattern, and with both sides refusing to budge, both sides making their allegations and counter allegations, and people are exercising their their authority over their strongholds. And what is happening is that it is again throwing the state under the state of despair, and there is no proper solution in sight. And I think therein lies perhaps one of the biggest political challenge, if you ask me, as far as the state government is concerned, and also the central government.
Absolutely. Let me take opening comments from Group Captain Nandakumar Sharma. Sir.
Karthikeya, this incident we have been discussing, and the people in Manipur are experiencing for more than 3 years. But the recent development of abduction of Nagas and Kuki civilians, it shows a serious and different angle in the current conflict scenario. It shows that the policies by the central government as well as the Manipur government, though it may be an elected government or maybe a prime minister rule, they have not done their duty very judiciously and prudently. We have seen abduction many times. 32 of the Meitei earlier were missing, and they are mostly abducted. And the most known cases are Hamjit, Lintoinganvi, and Mukesh. They were recent cases, and also Kamal Babu, who was has been missing from 57 Mountain Division, which is a very highly secure zone in the 57 Mountain Division at Imphal. So all this shows that the government and the policymaker have been sleeping. They are not forming any standard operating procedure, and they are not doing how to tackle such situations. So the abductors and the culprits, they are encouraged indirectly. That's why they are able to do such a thing like kidnapping of more civilian
But Mr. Sharma, church leaders met the CM, and church leaders said that we will we will work towards peace, but they are not even listening to those leaders. Mr. Sapam, why? I'll come back to you.
Let me complete. Meeting with civilian leaders is different, but enforcing a law is not it's not with the CSO or the civilian leaders. It is with the administrator or the government. Yeah, Karthikeyan, I'll come in the second line.
Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Sapam, your opening comments?
Kartikeji, good evening and good evening everyone, and my big salute to the nation. Well, since the mayhem started, I have been saying that it is very deep-rooted. It is not a communal clash. I have always maintained it. Why I am saying it is not an ethnic clash? Because I have my Jawans on the other side of the fence. Like my Kuki Jawans, who are very loyal to me, who are very nice to me, and I have been very nice to them also. I take their opinions also right from the beginning. And I knew that it was not conflict. It was not ethnic conflict. As I have been repeatedly saying again and again, the Burma Act is very, very much involved in this area. Chinese are also involved in this area. US is involved in this area, and it can never be done away with. But India also has to be involved in this scenario. So it is a very complicated thing which is happening in Manipur, and we are the most unlucky people because we fall in this area because of geography and because of location, geography, and geopolitics. We are the sufferers basically. Okay. Now, why all these things are happening? Why all these things are happening? Because the beneficiaries of the Burma Act, the beneficiaries are benefited, and the beneficiaries will always try to get this type of situation planned, and this kind of situation will proper, and it will not finish. It will carry on. It will carry on. It is high time the state government and the central government start taking drastic action. Drastic action. They have to be very tough. The border has to be completely sealed, and tough action has to be taken. Border has to be completely sealed. So this is what I hope.
It's such a difficult. It's such a difficult task. To expect the present government to barricade the entire border. For example, I can say in 2003, I had the great privilege to land in Vijayanagar as a young defense reporter. Vijayanagar, in Arunachal Pradesh. I mean, I really don't know how are you going to barricade Vijayanagar. I had the privilege to travel from Imphal to More to Tamu, have my food there, my beer there, come back. Roads were so bad. It's almost 8 years ago, but I had the privilege. How do you barricade it? It's a very tough thing, In barricading is an easy thing. We have not been able to barricade the entire Bangladesh border. The rain washes away the border. In mountains, the snow washes away the border. So maybe there has to be some sort of a different mechanism, but let me take opening comments. Hasina, my question is very straightforward. I mean to say people have been picked up. I really don't want to get into this argument right now at this moment that, intelligence kyun nahi hai. I want to know what is emboldening these people, these fringe groups, to pick up civilians and keep them as hostages. And what can be done so that these people are released? Because it's impossible for security to go and knock on every house and find bhai yahan log hain. It's impossible. That's an impossible ask.
As it is impossible to barricade the border.
It's impossible to barricade. It's an impossible ask. Then tomorrow 10 people will go to the court and say, to roz hamare ghar pahunch jate hain. It's an impossible ask. Hasina.
Manipur is not just a headline anymore, I mean, Kartike, we really need to go back, the 3 years with a little gap in between. It's a profound human crisis at the moment. Now, you look at the life that get disrupted, the family which is torn apart constantly, and communities that have been coexisted for generations now find themselves divided. And this divide is not just this present situation. We have to go back, I think, in many of those panels that we've had earlier as well. But I think at this moment, the scale of the situation and the suffering of the people, are pulled between narratives, different narratives. Now, who is going to bring this narrative in an open discussion is something very, very important. It is the state, the state, when we say the state, is the country, with the central and the state that has to really bring this, looking into humanity above all, and also recognize that every individual, the larger individual, the community, regardless of identity, they have to go back into how do we get peace, justice, and the coexistence that is distancing every time. Now, when you say close the border, it's a human issue, Kartike. I mean, it's also a political issue in terms of bilateral agreements and different agreements. But I think the path forward here is not very simple, but it demands a lot of courage from the leadership. Courage with empathy, and also the willingness to listen to both sides. And there has to be, civil society coming together with the state and the security to get into a conversation dialogue from a perspective of bilateral agreement, state peace, people, the humanity crisis that is happening, the violences. Because in a conflict situation, whenever things happen, abduction, all of this is a process that takes place, right? So we really have to understand that, and I think policy decision has been left unresolved. It has not been taken forward. It only take into some quietness for some time. As a person who's worked on the development sector, I think this is a 3 years ongoing, but it has a past history of it.
Okay.
So something that's very critical that we need to look beyond.
Okay. Opening comments from Mr. Mishra, former ADG BSF. Sir, I right now, okay, let's not get into the details of which faction of which Naga or a Kuki group has it. What I want to understand from you, from your security experiences, what permits this behavior? And what is the challenge for our security forces in Manipur?
Karthikeyan, I will tell you, I'll give some example. Challenges are quite a lot for security forces. The worst part of it, like that of Srinagar and Kashmir, they are not given free hand to operate. I repeat, Karthikeyan, they are not given free hand to operate in Manipur because of some pretext. And I disagree totally with you and Mr. Vijay that fencing cannot be done. You are speaking, you are facing this person who has done fencing in Indo-Pakistan border. If we have started 2023, we could have finished this fencing in this border. This is very easy to make it. You give me this task, I will finish it in 3 years. I don't agree with you. Number two, the border can be, bridges, I will tell you, the border can be sealed by deployment of various battalions of any border guarding force, which we have. That can be deployed within 1 week. It will not take more than 1 week. I'll give you some instances why it is happening. I have spoken about Tiger Road. Now I come back. What has happened in Kamjok border? In boundary pillar number 90, boundary pillar number 102. So many IDs were recovered, and these rebels, they came with weapons and they blasted it at boundary pillar 102 of Kamjok district. Next I go, Karthikeyan. Listen, what has happened? Another route I am telling you, how things are happening in Churachandpur.
So
yes,
that is my request to you.
Yeah.
When you get into these nitty-gritties, I get a feedback a lot of feedback from people, you are saying things only your friends would understand, we have to talk about things. We have to talk about things which the general viewer should understand. And I didn't say that fencing is impossible. I said it's a very difficult ask. I would like to add to the question.
Why do you think it is not happening, sir? You said that the thing is not happening.
Yes, there may be.
I am asking you, what is the biggest challenge for the security forces in Manipur? It is very easy for me to sit in New Delhi studio and say, no, they are not doing their job. And you have served in security. Mr. Sharma was part of security forces. Mr. Sapam was part of the army.
Mr. Karthikeyan, I have worked in Meghalaya. I mean this Manipur. I was DIG Manipur PSF. I was IG PSF Manipur. It's not that I have not.
When am I denying that, sir?
So I am telling you what is next.
Okay.
Earlier, always in your channel, I am telling it's not Manipur only. The worst part of it, Mizoram border. Karthikeyan, you just see what has happened in Mizoram, this Stadium Road from Singhat, Churachandpur via Singhat to Aizawl. Just see 2 cookies were apprehended with 22 lakhs of.
I'm going to play out some visuals. I'm going to play out some visuals. I don't disagree with you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm going to play out some visuals. Today, massive recovery of arms has been made.
Yes.
Today, massive recovery of arms have been made. It's not like that, I'm not discounting the fact that there are no weapons in Manipur. I know that.
Yes, in Lamdang.
In Lamdang, massive. These are the visuals.
67 weapons were recovered.
So,
67 weapons.
The point is well taken. But today we are not here to have a conversation against each other. What I really
No,
want
no,
is,
not that.
what I really want is, why is it getting so difficult, Mr. Sharma? Why is it getting so difficult for these people to be released? It's not as if they have been taken across the border. They must be somewhere, na? They can be. They may have been in other states, but that is also within India. So I am saying, why is it taking so much of time?
Kartikeya, let me reply you. It is not a difficult or complex situation. It is not, you don't have you means government do not have the intent to solve the problems. You don't mix around abduction with other things. For this time, you look only the abduction. Abduction can be resolved. Our NSGs, they rescue the hostages for high profile, say, people. So, and last time you would have seen NSG rescue would have in 9/11, followed by 2026 Pathankot Airways attack by Pakistanis, and thereafter NSG demonstrated in 2025 their mock drill, live mock drill in Gurugram. So we have a live scenario in Manipur where they can be deployed. They have been training. So it can be done.
You are saying special NSG should be deployed for operation.
Definitely, it will be a live. It will be live drill or live demonstration.
Our army, Warrante is in northeast. Army has got special forces. I don't think any outside force is required. I think Indian army is well capable to take those options.
Kartikeya, I cannot take a decision, or you cannot take a decision. That's where the policy makers, the government comes into picture. So these NSGs can be given a live scenario for their practice, as well as the such situation will be solved. At the same time, so many people have been missing, abducted, and the SOP by now would have been formed by the government of India and government Manipur, which is lacking in this scenario.
Okay, basically, you are saying it's a political issue. There's a lack of political will, and you are saying that that political will is missing. Okay, I take your point. That's your point. Mr. Sapam, to you, sir. From the perspective of armed forces, you have been part of it. What is the issue? Why can't we get them?
From the perspective of the armed forces, why it cannot be done is because, as I have been maintaining, I have been speaking as an army officer since the beginning, because the geopolitical angle is very complex over here. That is why these things are happening. Let me tell you one thing. One community, we have three communities involved over here. Meitei, Kuki and Naga. Kukis have the minimum population. I'm asking this question to the nation. A smaller population community is taking on two communities larger than them. How can they take it? Without any support, even a round of bullet is fired.
Let's not demonize communities, sir.
No, I'm not demonizing.
Let's not demonize communities.
See, that is why I'm saying. The Burma
Let's not other anyone.
Much involved.
They're Kuki militants. They're not all cookies.
See, those people who are involved in, I'm talking about the beneficiaries. I've been telling again and again beneficiaries. I will not talk about the cookies. That is fine. Many cookies, as I told you, that they are with me. I sit with Lamjathang. He's a cookie chap. He sits with me and we got together. But what I'm saying is, those people, those beneficiaries of Burma Act, they would never like the problems to be solved. And they don't want to solve.
Sir,
and that is why
that is okay. You are going back to the Burma Act again and again. My question is very simple.
That is the most important thing.
My question is very simple. ये लोग कहीं ना कहीं तो होंगे. I mean to say, ये लोग कहीं ना कहीं तो होंगे. I'm asking a very basic question. If 15 people are Brijesh abducted in Delhi, some are kept in northeast Delhi, some are taken to Rohini, at least there will be some intelligence.
But I think I would not compare Delhi with.
Okay, I know they are chalk and cheese. They are chalk and cheese examples. But maybe Kashmir or maybe Arunachal.
What I would say that the situation is also not like Kashmir. The point is that the situation there is that you have a neat division of Manipur. And with each area is being heavily fortified, and people are not going to turn on their own people if the CSOs have a very vice-like grip on how the entire society and gig function. I agree with Mr. Sarma when he said that the government lacks the political will. There has to be a free hand which has to be given.
But what my worry is, Brijesh, the third community has also got involved. At least one was a neutral community. One was a neutral community.
That's what I'm saying, that you cannot allow a situation to be fermented for such a long time. It took the government almost 3 years before they start talking about Manipur. It should have been done much before. I mean, when the conflict
You're saying that they were too slow? You're saying they were slow.
Oh, they were absolutely slow. In fact, I would say that the situation was literally allowed to go out of hand.
Okay. Let me go across. Let me go across to Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, my basic anxiety stems from the fact at least there was a one neutral community. Now all three communities have got involved. I think that should worry everyone.
Karthikeyan, you are correct. I also agree with Mr. Brijesh, what he was telling, that political will, definitely it's not there. I'll just tell you, Karthikeyan, we were given very free hand to keep NH2 clear, and we did it in 24 hours. We have done it for months together in this Manipur. Why it cannot be done? It can be done in 24 hours. If the political will is there, NH2 can be cleared in 24 hours. I stand for this. And it can be done. We have already done it also. So the practice was there. If you go back, it was there and we have done it. But here, political problem is there. Now, you see, strict action to be taken. Who will give that strict action? That is what is pending. I'll tell you what Mr. Subhendu Adhikari had asked. He has asked for 500 companies more central paramilitary forces to West Bengal to control all these problems. Why can't our Khemchand, our Honorable Chief Minister, can't ask for 1,000 companies of forces to this place, to Manipur? There is no problem as such. We have enough forces. They can come, and one time they can come for about 6 months and we can have operation like that of West Bengal. They are doing it now. We can do it. But the only part of it, Karthikeyan, intelligence failure. Why we cannot get intelligence about these persons who are abducted? It's because of intelligence failure of these security forces, particularly the intelligence group, those who are operating in Manipur, they are failing. It's a pure failure.
No, I'm not a spokesperson of the government. Maybe, I had the opportunity, to travel to Rwanda. I was going to Congo to get embedded with UN peacekeeping services, which our army contingent were taking care in Goma side. So all the way when the conversation happened, when I said Hutus and Tutsis, one thing which I understood was the entire communities, they buffered themselves from each other, that there was no middle ground. So there were no.
So nobody's going to snitch on anybody.
Absolutely.
That is what I was saying.
They were not going to snitch on anyone. So, Hasina, my question to you is, when this is sort of a mental fortification that has taken place between communities, how dangerous, how sad is this that all three communities have got now involved in this quagmire?
Karthikeyan, I think Manipur is a state that require community-based intelligence. And it's a critical thing to have community-based intelligence, and that can only be achieved if trust is being, brought forward by anybody who is going to facilitate peace. Now, this is going to be something like a structural cooperation groups, that has to come along. If you look back, when the situation 3 years ago, all kind of violences was staged in different settings, and then, but community was never brought into the purview of providing intelligence to the state so that the peace can be resolved. Now, that cannot just be done by law enforcement on their own, because the distrust on that is also very high. And when community comes together, because of the distrust, then the intelligence that the state has will not be completely, a great exercise on their own. So they really need to start bridging that gap. I think that's a very important. And we also have to understand that the cross-border element, the highly sensitive cross-border element is one of the biggest elements that has not been taken into consideration.
Hasina, you have worked in Myanmar, and Myanmar has also seen a lot of internal migration because of inter-ethnic conflict, shaping up entire boundaries, entire districts. Do you think it's happening internally in Manipur?
Yes, it is, very much. So, I mean, every time I go to Myanmar now, and every time I go back and work in the northeast, because we work in both sides, they have same situation when it comes to the internal, what is happening. The only thing is Manipur get reported because, you know, it's actually not in
because
a
India is a
situation
democratic country, it's functional,
Yes.
we have a free press here,
Functional, we
so we
have
can talk about
people.
it. Myanmar is a dictatorship, so obviously you can't
you
talk
cannot
about
talk
it.
about it, right? But me being there inside on a humanitarian aid, or you know, in all the activities that we have tried on food security on both sides,
Okay.
it's happening in both sides.
Okay, okay. Let me start taking closing comment. 30 seconds to you, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah, Kartikeya, I think Kuki arms group have played very extremely well in this demanding of separate state. Using the Indian law, they have arms, but they are able to escape from the present laws, and they have created buffer zone accepted by the India government, though not on paper, and now they have started conflict with the Naga, so they will have a understanding of buffer zone concept, and probably it's going great with their concept of separate state.
Okay, okay. How can there be a separate state? Separate state cannot be made by a community. Mr. Sapam?
To what Group Captain Sharma has said, I fully agree with him. And thereafter, what I would like to submit here is, like as far as the trust deficit is concerned, there is trust between the communities. That is what I'm saying again and again. But the Kuki Zo, these militants, they have designed this, conflict. I sit with Lamjathang. If Lamjathang goes to Chulchanpur, he will be eliminated. Like the three.
Let's not take names, Mr. Sabam, where individuals are not in the show.
No, I'm not talking individual. Yeah, I'm not taking individual. These three church leaders, what did they do? 5 days before they were ambushed, they talk about Manipur integrity. We should not get into clique and all this thing. And consider elimination.
Okay.
So we have.
It's your point of view. It's your point of view. And I don't stop people on my show like that. Mr. Mishra, okay, it's your point of view.
Mr. Karthikeyan, I can well tell you one thing. NSC and IM, that's a group which is not now involved in any violence, in making any violence or killing any ladies and children. They don't do that. So this particular Naga and Kuki conflict, what has now come up. So, if the 6 Nagas, which were actually they were abducted, I have my view, but then I don't want to express it. If they don't come back, I'm telling you, that will be a big clash.
Okay.
Nagas versus Kukis, it will start. So we have to be very cautious on that.
Okay.
We have to be very cautious.
Okay. My only 1 cent take is speedy operations, so that the people who have been abducted should be released, and they should be allowed to go back to their families, both Nagas and Kukis. And I thank all of you for joining me on my show. Thank you. And to my viewers, this is all I had on point. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and good night.
First Battle of Panipat, 1914, Tropic of Cancer, Kyoto Protocol.
Which city is the textile and diamond capital of India?
Surat.
Help me prep for my